So, organizational transformation. You've probably heard that phrase a million times, right? Especially if you're in any kind of large company. But what does it actually mean? Today, we're going to cut through all the buzzwords and find out.
I mean, it's the ultimate business buzzword, isn't it? You get a new software system, boom, transformation. You shuffle a few departments around, transformation. But hold on a second. Is that really what it is? Or are we just, slapping this big fancy label on what's really just normal change? That's exactly what we need to get to the bottom of.
And trust me, knowing the difference is so important. It's about understanding what you're really signing up for, what it's going to take to pull it off, and let's be honest, why so many of these huge, expensive projects end up failing. So our goal here is simple, to give you a clear, practical definition that you can actually take away and use.
Okay, so first things first. Before we can even talk about changing an organization, we gotta understand what an organization is, right? What are the moving parts? Let's start with a really simple blueprint of how most of them work. Just think of it like a machine, a stable, interconnected system.
So, for the most part, organizations run on this kind of continuous loop. You've got your strategy at the top, that's the big vision, the where are we going. Then come the operations. That's your people, your processes, your tech, all the stuff that actually gets the work done. To make sure they're on track, you set specific targets. And then, of course, you have to monitor performance. This creates this awesome feedback loop that helps you tweak the strategy. This whole thing, it's the engine of the organization. And normally, you just make little tune-ups. But a transformation? Well, that's not a tune-up. That's ripping out the entire engine and putting in a new one.
Okay, and this right here is the absolute heart of the matter, the great divide. We're not just talking about big change versus small change. No, this is a totally different beast. It's a fundamental difference in kind. So let's draw a really clear line in the sand. What's just change and what's real transformation? I love this analogy because it just clicks. Think about it. Incremental change, that's like renovating a room. You can paint the walls, get new furniture, maybe even knock down a non-load-bearing wall. But at the end of the day, it's still the same house. Transformation is demolishing that house entirely to build a skyscraper on the same plot of land. It's a complete reimagining. The whole purpose, the entire structure is different forever.
All right, let's get a little more formal for a second. The academic definition is a deliberate, disruptive departure fundamentally redefining its architecture. Whoa, the words that just jump out at me there are disruptive and fundamentally redefining. See, this is not about making the current system just a little bit better. It's about throwing it out and replacing it because the old one just can't do the job anymore.
And this table really gets to the goal behind it all. Look at the difference. Incremental change is all about optimization. It's about doing the same things, just better, faster, cheaper. But transformation? Its goal is redefinition. It's about doing entirely new things in a completely new way. One keeps the identity of the organization intact. The other, well, it changes it forever. You might not even recognize the place afterward. Okay, theory is great, but let's make this real. Take this case study of a government ministry. Before, in their business-as-usual mode, they were just focused on tiny gains, like, let's try to be 5% better this year. Their planning was basically just copying and pasting last year's plan. But after their transformation, their goals became insane. We're talking about trying to impact the entire country's GDP. To even think about doing that, they had to throw out the old playbook and rebuild everything, their entire structure, their governance, from scratch. Now, you might be thinking, wow, that sounds incredibly hard and risky. And you're right, it is. So why on earth would anyone choose to do this? The simple and kind of scary answer is, they often don't have a choice. It's not a nice to have. It becomes an absolute do or die necessity. And here's the trigger point. It's this thing called structural misalignment. That's just a fancy way of saying there's a huge, massive gap between what the organization is built to do today and what it absolutely has to be able to do to survive tomorrow. Let's try to put some numbers on this to make it super clear. Imagine your organization's current capability is, say, 100, right? This is what you're good at, your people, your systems, your whole setup. It's all perfectly designed to deliver a solid 100 day in and day out. You're stable, you're efficient at being 100. But then something changes. The market flips upside down, or your leadership sets a crazy new strategic goal. And the new target isn't 105 or 110. No. The new target is 1,000. It's a goal that's a whole order of magnitude bigger than what your current design can even dream of handling. And here's the key. You can't get from 100 to 1,000 by just asking everyone to work a little harder. You can't just tweak a few processes. The gap is just too massive. Your existing structure will literally break if you try. You need a totally new design, a new engine. That is the tipping point. That's when transformation isn't an option anymore. It's the only path forward. Okay, so you've made the terrifying decision. You have to build the skyscraper. The big question is, how? How do you actually do it? What does rewriting an entire operating model even look like in the real world? Well, a really common pattern you see, and especially in big, older organizations, is this shift from being purely operational to being strategic. It's about going from being a machine that's just really good at executing the same tasks over and over to becoming a strategic brain that actually shapes the future of an entire market. And look, this isn't just about changing a mission statement or having a few meetings. This is heavy-duty work. We're talking about real structural changes. Governance reforms isn't just a new committee. It's about bringing in an independent board that has the power to say no. Capability building means you're hiring for jobs that didn't even exist in your company 5 years ago, like data scientists or foresight experts. And check out metrics. You literally stop counting how many things you did, and you start measuring the actual impact you had on the world. Any one of these things is a giant project. A transformation does all of them at once.
All right, let's bring this all home. What's the big idea you need to walk away with? Let's boil it all down to the absolute essentials, the things you should remember the next time somebody throws that word transformation around in a meeting.
Here it is. A real transformation isn't just another item on the to-do list. It's a deep, structural answer to a massive strategic challenge. It's not about just buying new software. It's not a digital upgrade. It is a total redesign. You're reconfiguring roles, governance, how you create value, everything. It's about doing fundamentally new things in a fundamentally new way. It's a change to the very DNA of the organization. And this final thought really nails it. Legacy frameworks are built for legacy goals. You just can't get new results with an old machine. It's impossible. So the next time you're in a room and someone talks about a transformation, here's the question to ask. The only question that matters. Are we just planning on renovating a room here? Or are we really, truly prepared to demolish the house and build a skyscraper? Because that answer, that tells you everything.